Tony Hawkins has got a podcast. I hope he's better at this than he is washing the kit because he was fucking useless.
So, 28.
28.
28.
It's nice in this shed today, isn't it?
We decided not to have a week off.
No.
And to be honest, we've got nothing to talk about. So
I don't know why I'm here, to be quite honest.
we just bumped into Antoni Francillo from, coincidentally, the MK Dons press team.
Oh, right. Oh.
And he said, how about you come down to the stadium and do an interview with Russell Martin?
He's not here.
He's not here, so we're talking to Ant instead.
You got me, who I would like to point out was an original member of the podcast.
Was an
back.
original member
yeah.
back in the day.
fault that.
Yes,
It really
old
was.
school. And
Way
for those
back.
that don't know, Ant is a full-on, almost lifelong MK Dons fan.
MK Dons lifelong, in
Yeah.
terms of the club's life, since day one.
Yeah, so it's nice to have members of staff at that level who fully appreciate.
Do you think
what
anyone's
goes on.
guessed that it's not Russ, it's actually...
Well, we're basically we're killing time until Russ finishes his.
I'll be honest.
Tara Solana.
I mean, Russ will be really pleased with this, but there's been a lot of comparisons between me and Russ recently.
In which respect?
He's gone for the slick back hair
He
that I've
has,
got.
hasn't he? I must
He's
admit.
gone for the beard that I've got. So more. What's the guy from the Armed Forces? He's also called Antoni.
I'll
and
be
Middleton.
honest,
I'll
that
take
is
that one.
Rather a large group, the Armed Forces. Or
Gonna
that
say,
guy from the
bloke
army.
in the army. What, Action Man?
Yeah, not him. Bottom half, yeah. Below the neck, yeah.
What you got?
Well, you got
Plastic blue pants. Fucking, I'll tell you what, Russ better be good. 'Cause this is gold already. So Russell's finished his Tara Masalata and has joined us afternoon. So we'll just jump straight in. What's it
Alright.
like being manager?
It's hectic.
Yeah.
It's full on, but I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
I feel I feel like we've adapted as a staff, myself especially. Obviously, a big change, so it's a big adjustment, and I feel like we've adapted to it fairly well. I feel like we've got a good structure, a good process, and it's hard work. It's taken a lot of hours, especially taking over in the position we were in.
Yeah.
But I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it, and I appreciate the opportunity, how big the opportunity is, and how good the football club is. So I'm extremely grateful to be the manager of this football club, and we've started okay, and there's a lot of work to do, which I'm really excited about. So it's just balancing the short-term stuff with the long-term, like plan and what we want to do and implement. So it's been full on, but it's been good.
So are you Gaffer, Russ, he who shall be obeyed? Or what?
No, it's a mixture. So some call me Gaffer straight away,
Yeah.
like Connor and Alex Gilby, and I played with Louis and Carlton as well at Norwich, and they call me Gaffer. And some just call me Russ. I'm quite relaxed about it, really.
Yeah.
The guys, a lot of staff call me Boss. So I'm really easy. I'm not far. I see, like, especially with the staff, I see us all on. There's not a hierarchy. I think we're all really involved. Obviously, I end up making the final decision on things, but it's a real process. We have a lot of communication. So I'm not really fussed what I get called, to be honest. But naturally, most of them call me Gaffer. Yeah.
So how hard was it? Like, so 1 minute you're a player, the other you're the manager.
I mean, quite literally, in the morning you were in the squad, and then by
I was on the
night time
bench.
you were the
And then
gaffer.
3
I mean,
hours
how did
later, I
that
was
feel?
manager. It was the most hectic 24 hours of my life, to be honest. I'm someone who's quite
Did you have second
likes
thoughts,
to
or
plan.
did you just go
No,
straight
straight
into
away. I rung Paul, the first person I rung, to say look, I've been offered the job because he brought me to the club.
it? Yeah.
And we shared a brilliant moment in getting promoted last season. So, and listen, all of us in the dressing room were extremely grateful for that. But someone had to take the job, and I just said to him, I've been offered the job. I wanted to tell you first. I want to take it. I'm going to take it. But I just felt it was a decent thing to do to ring Paul first. So, and he was fine. He said, I think it's a good idea. That's it. So he was good. And then there was no second thoughts at all. The thought process straight away was what I want to do, how I want.
Was
the
that
week to
always
work.
your plan, to go into management when you finished playing?
Yeah, always. Yeah. So I've spoke about it for a long time, and probably to the detriment of my career at certain times, because I think there were certain clubs who would have taken me and certain managers, and then once they knew my intentions, they become a little bit insecure about it. Yeah, definitely. Managers,
people are insecure.
Self-preservation in football is one of the biggest.
I've never ever thought of that.
Yeah, self-preservation's massive. So, and I get it, I understand it, but and that's why I really appreciated coming here, because I had a few options, and then a few of them were limited when they realised I was coming towards the end. I was on my pro licence.
Yeah.
And I explained I needed a few days off every now and then for my pro licence, and it changed the manager's thoughts on whether they wanted me or not. So, and Paul really embraced that, and he let me go away 2 days a month to go and do that in Scotland on my pro licence and stuff. So I was really appreciative of that and really grateful. Did I think it was going to happen here? No. Did I think it was going to happen as quickly as it did? Not a chance. But I've been planning and preparing for it for a long time. I've got real beliefs on the way the game's played, which is you're starting to see on the pitch now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And real beliefs on the process and the learning and how we should learn and how we should develop and improve. And I'm just really lucky that it's at a club like this with an owner who demands a certain style of play, wants to see his team play in a certain way. So I'm really fortunate to have that, and a brilliant group of staff who I had a real strong connection with anyway, which I think has been an advantage. I think it was the hardest bit was coming out of the dressing room as a player, to then the dynamic changes straight away.
Did it change?
Yeah,
like,
it does.
straight away?
No, I've tried to be as normal as possible in terms of my relationship with the players, and I've been really honest with all of them, which short term caused me a bit more pain because it's hard to be really honest with some of the players. But it's true. But long term, I think it will really benefit everyone, and they'll appreciate it even if they don't like it. I think they'll respect it at some point. So, but the dynamic changes. Yeah, there's lads who I was sharing room with Dean Lewington up until 3 months until I became manager, and then.
Oh, that's hard.
So that's been the biggest blessing of becoming a manager, not only sharing Louis. No, they've been. I can't speak highly enough of them as a group. They've been amazing, really, the way they've taken to it, because they could have made it more difficult for me than they have. But hopefully it's just a relationship that was built on respect anyway previously when I was in the dressing room with them as an older player. And I was trying to help them anyway as an older player, as was Ryan Harley, which is why it's made it easier for him to sort of come over.
Is he still here, sorry?
Yeah, he's first team coach at the moment with me, Luke, Ryan and Dean is the coaching staff, and he's been excellent, especially helping the young players, and that was what he was doing anyway in the dressing room with the younger boys. So and that's continued. So hopefully, and that's just strengthened the relationship, and they've been really respectful. And
have they bought into your sort of philosophy?
I think so. Yeah, I think you're starting to see they really believe in it, and I think they're starting to see they can really look like good players and develop and learn and improve, and that's what I want. I want an environment where they can all improve.
I don't know what it's like on the bench, but in the stands, I sit in the cowshed, and we now never think that we're beaten, to be quite honest.
Yeah, and I think that's been.
We don't, because whereas before, if we went even 1-0 down, you're thinking, oh, for God's sake.
Yeah.
But now we just
the
think,
body language on the pitch
that's the biggest thing.
Changed.
Yeah, and we show the lads a lot of videos. They probably think we're a little bit nuts, but we show them a lot of videos on different people, whether it's leaders in business or in sport or players, talking about body language and being engaged and culture and like team dynamics, how it works and stuff. And we show them a lot, and the improvement in mentality and their body language and their belief in what we're doing has been immense, really. And it's been sort of, I think it's really come to fruition in the last few games, especially away from home. We went 1-0 down at Shrewsbury, a terrible day in terms of weather. We weren't getting much joy. We find it difficult to get into our flow because of the pitch, the conditions. Went 1-0 down, but I think there was never any doubt we were going to get back into the game. We stuck at what we were doing, and the lads really believed it. And there was only one team going to win it in the end if the game had carried on. So, and then we took that to Lincoln, started brilliantly. We conceded. And I still think 4 or 5 weeks ago we conceded and we have a wobble, but we didn't really at Lincoln. I thought again
that's how it feels.
Yeah, and it's brilliant for me.
Especially if we score the first goal.
Yeah,
pretty much back to the point where I think we're not going to lose this game now, and just overall, they look happier. They look
the atmosphere.
Happier. The players that I've spoken to do seem more. They're in a better place. I think is.
Well, the atmosphere within the fan base is 1,000,000 times better.
Good.
One of the reasons why we're doing this is because I personally thought that the club had lost its way a bit.
Yeah.
Really specifically, and this will sound odd, but I thought we lost our way when we got promoted to the Championship.
Yep.
And then even when we got relegated back to League One, but it had gone by then, and so we thought we should maybe try and, in some small way, to try and re-engage the fans, which I think we've done. But what I'll say about you is that I think that you really get what Milton Keynes is about as a club, because it's obviously it is a unique club. There's
Yeah.
no other way of getting around it. But I genuinely think that you do get what this is about. You know, we've not had that for years, have we, Tony?
About 3 years. I can remember the last time. It was probably. I mean,
Very
even
specific 3
Championship
years.
season, Derby. We went to Derby and beat them 1-0, and it was the highlight of the season, wasn't it? That was pretty much all that happened that season, and we've not really had anything since.
I think the owner of the football club agrees with you. I think he feels like they've gone away from. The club's gone away from what it was, what it was about, and Cole implemented, and he had a lot of time to do that as well, which is great. And he implemented a certain style and a way of doing things, and he really engaged with the fans, and so he was a huge part of that. But even before that, I remember playing against MK Dons, and they've always.
I was going to ask you that.
Exactly.
How many times have you played against
I
us?
can't remember. I played a few times for Wickham, a couple for Norwich, so usually got beat. But. Yeah, I think from the minute I came here, I felt really comfortable. I had a really difficult period at Walsall before I came here, where I knew within 2 weeks it wasn't for me.
Can you
just
ask
in
why?
terms of I just didn't feel. Like, I'm big on culture and I'm big on standards and feeling part of something, and I didn't have that. I went there for the manager, who's a really good friend of mine, and I love him dearly, and I still speak to him a lot now. And but I just didn't feel the club was the right fit for me and what I want from football and I just didn't enjoy it. And so I came here, and to be honest, if I didn't come here, I was probably close to stopping playing. So that's why I'm so grateful for the opportunity I've had here as a player. And it just felt right from the off, really. Like, the stadium's amazing, it speaks for itself, the facilities, but not just that, it's the staff we've got are brilliant. So, like, you know, the sports science and medical team, I speak about them all the time. Brilliant.
Cramo's a legend.
Yeah,
obviously.
he's someone who has been a mainstay. He's been here for a long time. And I think you get people who are really comfortable places sometimes, and they're just there because they've been there. It's like, oh, he's here because he's part of the furniture, whatever. But no, he's here because he's bloody good, and you struggle to find someone better, and he gets the club and he understands it, and he's filtered that down to his staff and his team, and I get it, and I get the club, and I speak to Louis about it, and I really feel like there's an opportunity here to. It's not got much history. There's an opportunity here to create an identity or bring an identity back to the football club that it deserves, that this place deserves, and the owner deserves for what. Because if you think about what he's done, if you take it in separation, what he's built here and given people, it can't be taken for granted at any point. It's amazing, and I want people to come here and care and look at this, the stadium and the fan base they have and everything else, and look at it as a real opportunity, which I see it as. So. That's why I'm so keen and desperate to make it work, because it could be, if we get it right, it could be something special. I really believe that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have taken it.
So when you were talking earlier about you played with the players that you've got, there's a few new coming that you wouldn't have played with, but the majority of those players in the squad you've played with, trained with, spent pretty much every day with. One of the hardest things I found as kit man was when I'd get given the squad on a Thursday or a Friday. Players coming and asking me, am I in the squad? Am I in the 11? And it was the hardest thing for me to say, I do know, but I can't tell you.
Yeah.
Or in the end, I would just say, I don't know, mate, or don't come and ask me that question again, because it's not fair. Go and ask the gaffer, and they never would, because that's why they came to me in the first place. That's never an easy job for any manager, but as you play with those lads, and like you say, I mean, you probably never drop Louis ever, because he probably kick the shit out of you. But is it really more difficult, do you think? You've not been a manager before, obviously, so it's difficult to say. But having played with those players, is it really that? It must be horrible to say.
Yeah, it's
to know that you've got to go.
It's the hardest bit, to take someone out of the team or out of the squad completely. And in January there was players who are not playing much, and they were potentially leaving and stuff, and you're having conversations all the way through. So that is the hardest bit of the job. But at the same time, I've just sort of. And I've said it to all of them, that I've just taken the line where I'm going to be honest with everyone, and they're not. Sometimes they'll love it, sometimes they won't. Yeah. But I think it's easier for everyone, then everyone knows where they stand. Because I think otherwise you're chasing your tail all the time.
Have you ever seen a player take it well?
No. If they do, it's probably probably.
If you do, you want to know why.
Why what I would say is we involve everyone in training, whether they're playing or out of the squad, in terms of detail, what we want. When they play reserve games, we watch and we really analyse that, and we go through that with them. And because it's important to me, it's really important, because at any point, and I've said it before, like, anyone can be used. Football changes really quickly. One injury, you're back in. A loss of form, you're back in. you have a couple of days where you don't engage, or body language is poor, or whatever, you could be out of the team. So, and when we've needed people to come off the bench, and they've had real impact recently, which is the most pleasing bit. And I mentioned guys like Regan Paul and Bailey Cargill when out the squad or on the bench in previous games. Amazing attitude, and that's why when Regan comes back in the team, because he's trained properly, he's engaged, his attitude's brilliant, and he comes back in and plays well. And that's not a coincidence. That's because he's fully engaged in the process, and he's professional, and he's been supporting his teammates all the way through. So then when he plays well, we come off the pitch at Lincoln and his teammates clap him because they're so pleased for him and he's done well, and that's the culture we create, and that makes me happier than anything.
I've always thought that the things that the fans don't see, like that sort of stuff, or a player might be having a personal issue or something like that, the players only see literally that 90 minutes once or twice a week. They don't see anything else at all, do they? And it's really difficult to communicate to people that there might be other things going on. You know, mental health is a massive thing. We get emails from. We've had an email from a bloke who said it's the highlight of his week listening to our podcast. Gets him through life, which is great.
That's great.
For him to say that. But
mate.
yeah, there's this whole thing about mental health and players. I've mentioned it more than once on the podcast previously, where I've spent an entire summer with long-term injured players, and I can't think of any lonelier place on the planet.
Yeah, horrific.
You know, it's a great life being a footballer. It's very well paid, but at the same time, I've been with players who were injured for over a year and have been in the gym on their own for 3 or 4 hours, and we go and play head tennis or do whatever we, as long as Cramo didn't see us. But that is a really difficult place to be. We've had a behavioural psychologist here who was fantastic, and I think everybody would credit him for getting us promoted, because he could take players that were literally throttling each other. Pre-season, they were so tired, they got to the point where they were happy to fight each other, and he sat them all down, and they were like different people afterwards. Do you go for that sort of thing? Is that something you would look at?
100%, yeah. It's I'm a big believer that the mental side of the game is much more important than anything else. I think it's 80% attitude and mental, and then 20% ability. And when I spoke to a psychologist as a player who said that to me when I was 21, and I just thought, nonsense.
When that kind of psychologist came in, the players were like, I ain't going anywhere near that fella. And then 2 weeks later, there's a queue outside his room.
And I continued to speak to him throughout my whole career, and it was really helpful. I only got as far as I did in my career purely through mental resilience and working harder than everyone else. And then football, like, they're human beings, you're right, they get judged and shouted at for 90 minutes on a Saturday because it means so much to people, but it means just as much or more to the guys on the pitch. They're playing for their futures, they're playing for their families, they're playing for themselves, and so much of it's driven by fear, and we try and get away from that. And that's why I have to take full responsibility for any mistake they make. So I'm asking them to be really brave and play with no fear and play within a structure and be patient within that. And I know it's going to upset some people sometimes, and you guys are going to get frustrated or lose a bit of patience with it, and that's football. It's especially British football, so it is what it is. They all have issues, and there's players who have played recently with issues and have been amazing, incredible, considering the stuff that goes on, and they go out there and play for 90 minutes, and you either use it as a place to forget everything and fully focus and have 90 minutes of escapism and try and enjoy yourself. But for some, they're unable to do that, and we're really conscious about the guys being mentally good, being mentally healthy, and we have to have conversation with all of them during the week at some point, whether that's me or the coaching staff or Cramo or Matt or someone else. All of them have to be spoken to during the week, just to check in how they are. Some will open up, some won't. Some are really guarded, and some are really honest and emotional with you, and it's just about trying to connect with them and make sure they're feeling right. And some I've passed on to the sports psychologist that I was seeing. So there's 3 or 4 of the guys speaking to him regularly now, which is great. I think it's really good. I think you invest so much in your physical capabilities and your sports science, your nutrition, all that stuff, and the mental side of it is often disregarded, or you'd pay 600 quid to go and spend the time at a gym or whatever for the year, and then you wouldn't do it to talk to someone you see it as expensive. It's mad, you've got to invest in yourself and your career, because it's a short career and you want to maximise everything you can. So it's great that some of them are so open to that. We've got a guy coming in to talk about that stuff and about the culture and about being open with each other and honest. He's coming in at the end of February. He worked with the All Blacks. He was there director of culture, which will be amazing for these guys to listen to. I've heard him speak twice and he's phenomenal. So I'm really trying to improve or to develop a culture that everyone wants to work in. Everyone can be honest with each other, and I think it's starting to evolve naturally now. That, like I said to you, the mentality's changed completely, professionalism. That's why January was about recruiting good people first. They're talented boys, fortunately, as well, but it was all about people and character first, and that'll be, I think it's really important for a club like this to have that. We can't carry anyone who's a good player but not a good person. It's as simple as that. I wouldn't want to work with that. So I've played with people like that, and it's frustrating. I couldn't deal with that as a manager, no matter how good they are. They've got to be good people. So we're trying to generate that, and we'll help them as much as we can.
Is this when we've seen players come through here, and you can see that in their heads they're not, the feet are magic, but they're just not. Their head's not in the right place, and sometimes it's annoying because you think to yourself, you're in this position. It is a privileged position, but like you said, it isn't about just what you can do with your feet. It is the training harder, being the best, and so on. And looking at your career, your sort of takes a curve, or up like that. When you went through the leagues, you started off in sort of League One, League Two, and then you progressed through Championship, Premiership, and then you came back the other way at the end of it. One thing you don't really see anymore is older players coming down the leagues. Like back in the 90s, I can remember watching Paul Merson playing for Walsall and Peter Beardsley playing for Hartlepool. Saw Darren Anderton's last game for Bournemouth here when they were in League One.
Who was that?
We don't
used to play, he never used to wear shin pants.
Steve Claridge, I played
Yeah,
him.
Poppy Stadium.
I played him at Wickham.
You don't really see that anymore. I mean, obviously they would have done that because they still got the talent to be able to do it. They might not be as mobile as they used to, but one of my favourite memories, particularly of yourself, is when you scored that goal at Forest Green, and it's the furthest I've seen Louis run in about 4 years. And just the look on your face, the sheer joy, considering the career that you've had, to go and score a goal at Forest Green, it was the 92nd minute or something like that, but the sheer joy on your face. And you were saying about when you're at Walsall that you did consider stopping playing. Is there, aside from becoming the manager, which then puts you in a very difficult personal position of picking yourself or not, because you're probably not the best person to judge, but do you think that culture of players going on who have got the talent to play, we had Alan Smith here, who in training was ridiculous. He scored one of the best goals I've ever seen in my entire life in the Dome a few years ago, but didn't really play an awful lot here. Do you think that is dying out a bit more? Players maybe because they've had decent careers and are comfortably well off?
I think, I also think you might see it a bit more because the game's so demanding at the top two levels now that I think people will stop playing their younger and younger, because it's true, teams want younger players, they want athleticism, and the game's so quick. So I think you'll end up seeing players coming back. But I think what's really important is they've still got to be motivated, their intention's got to be right, why they want to carry on playing. If it's just to keep earning a bit of money or to evade boredom, then it's probably not the guys for you. If they're still, I was desperate to come here and play part of the promotion. That was the whole reason I wanted to come here. So I left Norwich and I turned down opportunities to stay in the Championship at the time because it didn't suit my family, and I didn't want to be selfish. They'd sort of, my wife had sacrificed her career and herself, and living away from home for so long. I didn't want to move to the north of England and be that far. We didn't want to relocate there again. Do you know what? So, and then it comes down to enjoyment. And I was out the game for a bit, gave me time to go and study and have a look at things. And then I was desperate to get back in because I really missed it, which is probably why I made a bad decision going to Walsall. It's true. So, and then here it was like a last chance saloon for me. I knew it would be, and that's why I said I was close to stopping playing. I needed to go somewhere where I really felt there was something to be a part of, and they were fighting for promotion, playing good football, so it made sense to me. But I think you'll see it. We might end up recruiting one or two of them. I don't know. It really depends how motivated they are at the end of their career to keep playing and keep wanting to play and to be part of something. And I think hopefully what we're creating here is something that players will want to be part of. I had a lot of people contact me in January who know me through other people, whatever, that have seen the way we play and noticed it and want to come and play. And
well, for what we've seen so far is that the media boys, not you, Toby, Luke, do refer to the MK way, and you alluded to it earlier, and there is, despite the short history, there definitely is an MK way, and that's not just about Carl. That was Paul Ince's football as well. Martin Allen really started it, didn't he?
I always think it's Martin Allen that turned the club. To be quite
I
honest.
think the point was, who Keith Andrews come in under Martin Allen. I think that was where it turned around, and he basically took over the team, didn't he? Keith Andrews on the pitch anyway, and I think that's where it started. And we did have that period of 2 or 3 years, and I don't really count the championship years because the football was still fantastic, really. In
Playing
reality,
good
the
football,
football was very good.
getting
And managers of other
battered
teams
every
would come in to me before the game
Yeah.
and ask. The Middlesbrough manager, whose name I can't pronounce, came in and said, "How have you lost every game?"
Yeah.
And he said, "I've watched all your DVDs. How do you lose?" Because the higher you go, the mistakes get punished more often. And but yeah, the fans are much happier now. And I've always said, even if you lose and you play, I mean, one question
Ipswich, wasn't it?
Yeah, Ipswich is a good example.
I reckon that's when it sort of changed. Played them here. It was a Tuesday night, wasn't it?
Yes, we
Remember
lost when we lost 1-0. Yeah.
Yeah, but everyone.
this season?
Just going and. As we were walking out, even though we'd lost, there was not one single person was complaining. It was a good game of football.
I thought it was a good second half.
Yeah, great. But that, even though we'd lost, if we'd lost under, let's just say, nearly every other manager, I think it was because you turned around by the end, hadn't it? But that was the specific time when you just think to yourself, hang on a minute here, this is just, we've played all right even though we've lost. No one was complaining.
No one walked away.
No, there's a way to lose, isn't it? And it's really important that, like we lost to Burton recently, and I was gutted, but I couldn't be disappointed because we were brilliant. We battered them, like we dominated, completely dominated.
We looked at the stats. Louis sent me the starting 11. Every single starting 11 player of MK Dons made more completed passes, and 88% completed passes in League One. That's
exactly,
frankly ridiculous. And Lee was ninth
possession
in
away
that
from
list.
home. Yeah, it's crazy. So, and that's what I said to him. Like, I never accept losing, but I can accept the way they went about it, and it was a completely different feel to the way we lost at Rotherham in the second half and things like that. So it shows how far we've come. But I just want us to have a real identity on the ball, but I want us to be we can't be soft with that. Like, it's really easy to be a good footballing team but be a little bit flaky and a bit soft. So and I think it's the first thing we'd done before we came in and started working on the way we were going to play. It was try and increase the intensity and the attitude and the mentality to get the ball back. And we as much as I'm really pleased with the way we play out from the back and the bravery, it's amazing. I love it, like the courage they've got to do it, and it's what I believe in, it's what Luke believes in, the coach. But as much as that is brilliant, I get just as much joy from watching the lads go and hunt the ball. They've become brilliant at it, but I think we have.
Well, we've noticed that the high press from other teams seems to have disappeared now as we've improved on that game of passing it across the back four, and we've actually started to press more. We did it last Tuesday in bigger numbers, which I think they were a little bit surprised about.
Yeah, that first 20 minutes.
That first 20 minutes was ridiculous. That's the best I've seen us playing at least 3 years.
Phenomenal.
At least 3 years.
It really was. It was brilliant. Let alone the free kick, which was just astonishing.
No,
the actual football.
We started really
nicely.
Fantastic.
But yeah, every manager goes in and they always say, "Oh, you boys are playing some great stuff," but then they always say, "How hard do the boys work for you?" The way they recover, the way they go and press, the front three especially, the way they go and press and get after people and high line from defenders. So they're getting better at that. We're working on that all the time. So hopefully that'll become, because I just don't think you can be good in one and not the other. It doesn't work.
Yeah, you can't chop and change. So this is a question I do want to ask. And would you ever send a team out with the intention of not losing?
No.
Done.
Fact.
Simple as that.
Never.
Good. That's what we wanted to hear.
Listen, I've played in teams who have done that.
How does it? I mean, I've been in changing rooms where I've never seen that. I've never seen that. I've never. Carl, Robbie, Richie. I've never seen a team sheet where I've thought to myself that, I've gone and checked with the manager about certain players playing in certain positions, but I've never actually looked at a team and thought we're not going out to win there.
Yeah.
And it would be. I think that's been the problem over the last couple of years, was that we sometimes didn't have that belief, and the fans didn't have that belief that we were going to go and try and win a game. So if you've been in changing rooms where that's happened, how does the manager communicate that to the lads without actually saying, sorry lads, you're not good enough to actually win this game, we're just going to try not to lose?
I think, well, from my experience when I've played in teams like that, you work on everything you do is about the opposition all week. So there's not one bit on what you're going to do or how you're going to impact the game. It's about,
So you know by
it's about the
where the
opposition.
training's
It's
set up.
about fear of the opposition or fear of what they can do to you. So the mentality all week is to make sure we know what's coming, what to expect, and then nothing on what we're going to do when we have the ball. So I just can't work like that. I've worked with both. I've worked with one where you don't focus on any opposition at all, and it's about you and it's about what you want to do. And I think you can. It's great when it works, and when it doesn't, it's easy to point the finger and say we don't do enough on the opposition, or blah blah blah. But I would say, especially playing in the Premier League, I played where we went with no fear against anyone, and we took a hiding at Man City, 6-1, 5-1, whatever it was. But we felt good about it because you had a go. We stuck to what we do, like our identity, our beliefs. And then following season I went to Man City and we got beat 7-0 and we didn't get out around half because all week it was about being solid, defending our box, and there's a completely different feeling to both. So
and the end result tends to end up being the same.
Yeah, exactly. So and there's a completely different feel to and with the fans and everyone as well. And you're in that dressing room and you haven't been able to get near anyone, you haven't been able to get out your own half, you haven't been able to have any impact in the game at all. Whereas the other way, you end up creating a few chances, and it's just one of them days where you end up getting beat. You try and go toe to toe with someone, you get beat, you hold your hands up and you move on. They're better than you on the day. So that's really helped mould my philosophy, because I knew it was like that anyway. And I can be a bit of a purist, and I'm really, really high standards of what we want to do. But yeah, and that's where it comes from. I want us to be us, regardless of who we play against, and we'll be aware. And I always speak about we're aware of their threat. But it's not what we work on all week, because we could work on something and then a formation changes in the opposition on a Saturday. And I've played in that where you work on something all week and then they've changed personnel and formation. It's like, crap, what do we do now? We've worked on something all week. Like, what's the plan?
Has that happened to you yet? I
As a manager?
Remember, getting the team sheet and then going, shit, that is nothing like we've set up for.
No, we don't.
Trying to run around.
We haven't set up that, and that's the beauty of. I feel that's the beauty of our process is we won't change.
Yeah.
We'll tweak certain things and there'll be different personnel and we work on different things every week, but we won't go away from what we do regardless of who we play against. So I think it makes it easier for us, easier for the players, and it's up to the opposition to make sure they can affect the game, because I feel like we've controlled most games we've played in recently, which is testament to the players. So, and that's what we want. So fingers crossed that will continue, but we'll always be aware and respectful of who we're playing. But it has to be about us and what we're going to do.
Right. How are we doing for time?
Half hour.
Half hour. So, you played international football. And one thing I do remember, when players got called up, they forgot everything except for their boots. Did you ever end up in Estonia or something and think, I haven't got my shin pads, or...
I don't think I did, actually. I was always quite organised.
Who was that? Who was the Johnny got called up for Wales quite often? He ended up with about 7 pairs of shin pads.
Yeah,
Came back every trip, Sports Direct, before he
I
got
weren't
on the
allowed to
plane.
forget mine. Mum had a present with my kids' names on and stuff, so I weren't allowed to forget mine. But the kit man at Norwich was brilliant, to be fair.
Yeah, in the end, they used to get a little goodie bag with it.
Yeah, it was exactly the same. So he'd make sure that was all sorted, and he'd clean the boots straight after the game and give them back and be like, oh, brilliant, don't need to do anything. Then they'd just stink your bag out the whole way. But I loved it. I loved playing national football. It was good. Really enjoyed it.
So this is probably relevant to that, but who's the best player you played against, and what was so good about it?
Against, there's been a few. There's been a couple of different ones. Bale, because of how powerful and athletic he was, just phenomenal, just an absolute
Is he strong?
beast.
Is he like...
Yeah, an absolute beast. Massive, quick, strong, aggressive, can go either way. So he was tough, really tough to play against.
Do you play against Suárez?
Yeah, he's probably the best one. Because you come up against some players who are technically brilliant but then weren't that aggressive. Him and Agüero are probably the 2 best strikers I played against, because they're both really quick, really strong, much stronger than you'd think them to be, because they're quite... People thought Suárez was quite small and stuff. He wasn't. He was stocky and he was double aggressive. You'd kick him, he'd kick you back. He'd make 4 runs before he got the ball, and then he'd get it and he'd get turned, he'd dribble past, he'd just drive at you, be really direct, and he was just relentless. He just kept doing it.
Was he a runner? As I remember going back, I used to love watching Jurgen Klinsmann, And whilst the ball was up the other end of the pitch, he'd be running the width of the pitch.
Yeah, Suárez never stopped. Yeah, never stopped. Yeah, never stopped. And Agüero's completely different. He didn't move.
Yeah.
But he'd play where you couldn't mark him, so you always felt uncomfortable. And then he'd come to life in the final third, and so strong, so quick, so explosive. So you think you're having a good game against him, you come off and he scored 2 goals. He's not done anything, but he scores 2 goals. So yeah, I'm really fortunate to play against them players. But
is there anything you don't like about the modern game? I mean, if we discount things like diving, which has got to ridiculous levels, and VAR is becoming a bit of a joke now. Obviously, physically, mentally, stamina-wise, and just the standard has improved all the way through down to probably non-league, national league level now. Is there anything about the modern game that you don't like?
I think the short-termism of everything. I think it makes it really hard for people to be brave enough to implement a certain style of play. And I've been really lucky that I've been backed by a chairman who wants to see good football and patient enough to see that. I knew it wouldn't come overnight, and we're still trying to improve that and still trying to get better at that, because there's loads of improvements to be made. But I think the easiest thing to do for us would have been just to launch the ball up top and fight for it and try and scrap, and most weeks you toss a coin who wins. But I think the short-termism of management of players, how quickly they're written off, how quickly they're disregarded, and I get it all. It's all fear of keeping your job, fear of your career, all that stuff. But I think social media has really heightened that.
So we were saying earlier, we had a coffee before we came over, and we were talking about, it seems like things particularly with the Caroline Flack, that things are coming to a head and something's got to give soon. And
we did speak about it last week on this, just ironically enough, and then what happened at the weekend, you just think, bloody hell. But what must it mean? I'm an engineer. I hate to think what it's like, someone like...
Yeah, and I was funny enough...
Every single word...
I'd done the TV with Jamie Redknapp on Saturday, and...
Was you?
Yeah, thank you, I enjoyed it. But we were talking about it then, because obviously the news of terrible news, Caroline Flack, come through, and he was just saying he's not sure he could do it in this day and age with all the social media scrutiny. He found it hard enough playing because of his dad and stuff like that anyway, and the stick he got from fans and things like that, and he was saying he just doesn't know how players do it, and I've played with I've seen players do it, and they, as soon as straight after games, they Twitter search their name. It's not reality. It's the worst thing you can do. But I get it. They've grown up in this era where they want instant gratification or instant feedback on their performance or what people think of them. And I think you've got to be a really secure person, really resilient person to try to read that and take it. Like, I've played with people who do read it and just go, who cares? And that's probably the best way to be. But you have to try and detach yourself from it somehow. It's not healthy. We all have, whether we like it or not, we're all addicted in some way to our mobile phones. That little hit of dopamine when we get a message or whatever. It's true, huh?
Yes, it is.
So, but you have to be able to detach yourself from it. I'm on there just purely because I was on a course and someone said you need to be on there. You need to have some presence, because it's the only way you will have if you want to get an opinion out there, you can, and people will see it. But I'd done the TV on Saturday and I got some really good messages and a couple just idiotic ones.
Do you ever, just to go off a slight tangent, do you ever get fed up with guys in the stands shouting at you, saying you don't know what you're doing?
Listen, there might be a time when they're booing me and telling me to get out that it might become a problem, but until then, I've always thought, it's strange, isn't it? I've always had a really good relationship with most of the fans who I've been at clubs, and then still I spent 10 years at Norwich, and there was a small minority, especially on social media, who could, because I'd come out and do interviews after every defeat or whatever, and in the end became that guy that when we were defeated, I was coming out because and the other players didn't want to do it, and I felt as captain it was my duty. But then you become that guy, and I took a hell of a lot of stick off some, and I wasn't on social media at the time, but my dad would always ring me and go, you've been getting off. Cheers, Dad, that's really helpful. But it's true, and I had one guy in the stand for 10 years who battered me, like hammered me relentlessly. And sometimes
was it your dad?
Yeah, probably was. He would have been at some point, but hammered me. And then the day I left, he came to my testimonial and shook my hand and said, "What a great servant I was." I thought, you have been relentlessly abusing me for 10 years, and now I'm a great servant.
It's almost like when people get behind the wheel of a car. The second they walk into a football stadium, they turn into arseholes, and they just think that it's all right, because the social media thing and media in general does dehumanise.
What I would say is a small minority, isn't it? And they're always the most vocal. So
exactly.
Wherever I've been, it's always a small minority, whether it's on social media, whether it's in the stands. And They usually get guys around going, shut up, if you're here to watch the team, support the team, don't you? But understand it, it's a release for people. They want to come and watch their team and they want to be, it's entertainment, they want to be entertained. So they've all got an opinion, and it's always, you have to listen to it. Yeah, no, but you have to accept it. It is what it is, and that's part of the game, and it's the way the game's gone as well. And there's a guy who sits behind a dugout some weeks and he's so complimentary, and in some weeks he gets the ump because we're playing out too much or we're not getting it forward quick enough.
Very familiar with him. He sits about 3 foot away from me.
Does he? Okay,
well, I say sits. Tends to stand.
But what I take from it, the biggest thing I take from it is he really cares about his football club. He's passionate, so you know.
Did you hear him when Reece was about to take the penalty?
No.
Did you hear him? The keeper's going to dive. The keeper's going to dive. The keeper's going to dive. Well, he's goalkeeper. Of course, he's going to dive. And I just thought, how can you not hear? Because I know what it's like being on the pitch.
I'm zoned out. It was the same.
You do. You can't hear anything.
On the pitch, you can't. No, you don't. You don't focus it on it at all. Like I played games, my brothers going, "Oh, they all tune you out." It was unbelievable. Did they?
Yeah.
Like you just don't hear it. You're so concentrated. You're so focused.
That's quite.
And on the touchline, I really don't hear anything. I hear him now and again just because like he's loud. But
he is.
Yeah, but
unbelievable.
I've got no problem with it at all. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, aren't they? I might listen to a few of them at some point.
Yeah, right.
Who knows?
So the modern game is all about stats, analysis, nutrition. Was that when did you realise how big? Because players generally just tend to go along with whatever's going on, don't they? Then did that come as a shock? How much stock's put into the analysis? How much work goes into the analysis? Them lads. I mean, when I was here, the analysis, we actually thought he had a Mac surgically sewn into his arm because he had it there all the time. He was breakfast, lunch, dinner, training. He was always there. He never had it anywhere. And has that any of that sort of thing influenced, or did you change training or the way that they train? Or?
Yeah, so we use all the physical sports science, the physical data every day. I think we've really changed the way we train. We train the way we play. So training is really intense. It's really demanding, the boys, but we always make sure it's measured. And also we had to sort of do it incrementally because we didn't want to blast everyone. They all get injured because it would have completely defeated the object. So we've had to build it up over time. And I think what you're seeing now is they're fitter, they're stronger, and they're mentally stronger, which means they can run faster and they can run longer. And that's why we're finishing games really strongly now. I really feel that. And again, it's working together. So the sports, we work together every day. We have a meeting in the morning, meeting after training, to see what we get out of the physical, out what we want from the day physically, and then we debrief it if we got enough. Some people might need more the next day, that some people might need a bit less. So I'm really conscious of that. It doesn't completely dictate what we do because there's, the stuff we want on the pitch. If we haven't got that and we need to go another 20 minutes, we're going to have to do it. If we're not happy with what we've got or we haven't taken it on board. So, but it plays a really big part in it. And then the other stats, we film training every day. Yeah. With a drone, we watch it back, we show the players, we do video meetings every day with the players. In the morning there'll be unit meetings with the defenders, the strikers and midfielders during the week. There'll be individual clips, so it plays a massive part in the analysis, especially the video analysis. For me, we don't get enough time on the training pitch, so they have to learn another way, and a lot of the time, a lot of them really enjoy seeing it.
How many days was it till the last one tried to knock the drone out of the sky?
No, they've been good, yeah. I think they all want the clips for their own social media when they're scoring goals and stuff like that, but we haven't given it to them for that.
Drive.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But no, it's been really good. It was too windy today, so that annoyed me because it would have been a good session to film today. But so we play, and Ben, the analyst, has been amazing. Yeah. He's really bought into what we're doing. He's played a huge part in it. I can't speak highly enough of him, and he's in with us all the time in our office, so he knows exactly what he wants. So when we're not having to sit through 90 minutes of a game with him and try and find what we want, he knows exactly what we want now, which is brilliant. And a lot of the time he brings stuff to us. So it's worked really well, and it's a big part of what we do.
With your coaching stuff, one thing I've noticed with our fans is that they're generally, fans would talk about the manager, but they never ever talk about the coaches or assistants. Very, very rarely. In fact, to the point where once Richie Barker came in from down here and walked down to the dugout, and the steward wouldn't let him out because he didn't know who he was. You got. Are they there to be as? I don't know if prominent's the right word, but I think it's good that fans are talking about the coaching staff. So aside from them, is there anybody outside of MK Dons who you might pick up the phone to every now and again and say, I need a bit of a hand here, I need a bit of advice?
There's loads of people. I speak to a lot of people, and I have a lot of people who we just bounce ideas off each other. Yeah. I have old managers I still speak to, I have old coaches I still speak to, I have friends who are coming towards the end of their career and going into it I speak to. So yeah, there's lots. It might not be just particularly for one thing. I've spoke to them all throughout, and they help. All of them play some part in moulding you and as a person and the way you want to do things. So, but I think we should talk about the coaching staff because they're brilliant. I think Dino, I brought him first because I trust him with my life. I played with him as a kid at Wickham. He's a brilliant goalie coach, but more important than that, he's a brilliant person to have around the place. He's a winner. He's really easy to get on with. He really cares about his goalkeepers, really cares and wants them to improve a lot. He's been demanding, he spends a lot of hours with them. I think you can see the difference in Lee Nichols since he's come in, 100%. There's no doubt about it. We've put a lot on Lee in terms of the playing out and stuff like that.
He's got to be worth, 10 points a season?
Oh, he's brilliant. And Dino's really improving him all the time, and he'll tell you that. There's no doubt about it, and the rest of the goalies. So I'm really pleased, and he's a great addition to the club. Rai Harley's been amazing. Obviously, everyone knows him as a player, and unfortunately, it didn't quite work out for injuries and stuff this time round. Talented footballer. The boys knew how good a footballer he is. They know how good a footballer he is. His job really is focusing on the individual stuff. So he works a lot with the younger players, especially every day, 20 minutes, half hour after training. Dave Kasumu, Sam Nombe, Matti Soranola, all these players, loads of touches of the ball, doing what they should be doing in games, making it related to what we want to do, their movements, to how we play and stuff like that. So he's been great, really good, and he can talk to them because he knows them from the dressing room one-to-one, real connection with them. And then you've got the mad genius, who's Luke, whose brain works like no other I've met in football. Yeah. He's a special coach. I think the lads really know how good he is, and they're really grateful that he's at this football club. I'm really grateful that he's here. I didn't know him before. I spoke to a lot of people about him, and they all said he's the guy you should go for. And we met, and I genuinely believe we would have worked together at some point anyway, because we believe in the way the game should be played, and I think he feels happy that he's got a manager who believes in him 100% in what he does and how he sees it. We don't always agree on personnel, we don't always agree on bits of training.
You wouldn't want to though, would you?
No, exactly, and that's the best bit, but we've probably in 3 months we've probably had about 2 years worth of conversation. We spend 15 hours a day together, 16 hours a day, sometimes more, just talking football, what we want, and that's what I really enjoy, that process. And he is on the grass the best I've seen as a coach, in the way he communicates with the players, translates like my messages to the players. He buys into the culture stuff. He's been a manager, which really helps me because he's been through a lot of stuff. So I can't speak highly enough of all of them, and I feel such a bond. And I'm sure Ant would have told you. I think the togetherness in the staff now is. I think it's a big difference, and I think it helps.
Would they tell you, if they thought that you were doing something?
100%. Yeah, we've had chats about it loads of times.
Yeah, I've seen
me and Ryan Harley. We just argue.
No,
we argue 5 days a week, and on a match day we're all right. We get on. Yeah. So I think and that's the beauty of it. I would never want to surround myself, and that's why I brought Dino in. He's the most brutally honest person you'll ever meet. So he tells me exactly what he thinks, because we played together years ago, and I used to shout at him because he was the goalie, and I blamed him for everything. He used to shout at me. So,
but it is their fault.
Yeah, exactly, always. So no, I think that's I would never surround myself with an echo chamber of people who just agree with what you want, because ultimately you're not learning or developing.
No, I agree.
And I know how important it is for me to have help in my first role. So I'm really pleased with him.
Right. So, are you looking forward already to next season? Obviously, the way things are going, the way we're playing, the results have started to come with that, which is nice to see. Are you clearly, your expectation is that we will stay up, and you want to stay up, but it's not as simple as that. Obviously, is that you still got to get the points.
I'm still really wary of the threat. Everyone keeps saying, "Oh, you're safe now," and all that, and no, we're not yet. So
looking at the players that you brought in. By the way, is there a Blackburn connection?
Yes. What's that about?
Obviously, there's the Norwich connection, but is there a Blackburn connection, or is that just coincidence?
No, it's not. Yeah, it's just coincidence.
That's just purely coincidence.
That's been borrowing us.
No, there's no connection, no, unfortunately. I'll tell you if there was, but no, just coincidence,
Because the players that have come in, I mean, Carlton Morris has been a revelation, and Ben Gladman, I just love. I mean, that goal, the goal he scored, not so much the goal itself, but that little turn that he did.
Yeah, he's the only one who could do that.
Yeah, I've watched it, I don't know how many times, and I still can't work out how he managed to do it so quickly. You can see what he did, but the speed he did it.
Well, lucky to have a player like that, to be quite honest, I think, personally, because, I mean, that goal that he scored, I've never seen that.
If he didn't have the injuries he'd had, he wouldn't be playing here.
No,
and that's no
not
disrespect to the
at
football
this
club or any of us, but he's.
Is that not a curse of being a League One club as well? Because you can get those players. I mean, that's pretty much the story of Keith Andrews. He wasn't playing at Wolves, he'd been out for ages, and he came down to League Two to restart his career. Then obviously if Ben Gladwin does a Keith Andrews, shall we say, then it could be that,
I want him to come with us.
I
want him to come with us. I want us to be that good that he doesn't need to go anywhere else. And I think he's looking for a home and somewhere he really believes in the style of football. He's worked with Luke before at Swindon. He said it was the most enjoyable part of his career, and I knew him through Ryan Harley and know what a good character he is, so he was a no-brainer, and we just had to come in and show that he was fit, and he came in for 4 weeks and lads were like, we need to sign this guy. So that was the best bit really, when the players are looking around going, why have we not signed him?
Did the players actually come up and say
3 or 4 of them like, we've got to sign him, and players who played in his position as well, so I think they've been brilliant. Carlton's been amazing, he's a leader and he gives us a real different, and he left, the biggest thing for me was when he rang me and said I want to come, I said, are you sure you want to leave a promotion, because they're probably going to get promoted, Rotherham. I said, you sure you want to leave that and come and fight relegation? 100%. So I was like, straight away, let's do it. And then Louis Thompson as well, we're really fortunate to have him, because again, another one, if he hadn't been injured so much, he'd be playing in the Premier League for Norwich.
Another one looks like he's getting going.
He is really getting going, he's got stronger every game, and you'll see between now and the end of the season what a good player he is, and I think he's done great.
Did you deliberately play him on that left hand side? Is that a strength of his, or
Louis?
do I just?
No, he's played both since he's come in. He can play anywhere really. He's powerful, he's got athleticism, and he's starting to really believe in his body again and getting confidence. So once he does, for me, he's one of the best midfielders in the league, no doubt. He's proved it already and got a move from here. So if he gets back to where he was, which we're seeing signs of it all the time, then he's going to be. And he's a man. And in the dressing room, they've made a hell of a difference. They really have, all of them. So I'm really pleased with that.
I mean, obviously you've got your senior players, Louis, yourself as in there as well. Has anybody come in to replace you in that respect, do you know?
Not really. The reason I brought in Carlton and Louis is because I knew what they would bring. So they've definitely filled a gap in there, because they know what it looks like. They've been at a club where it's really professional. The mentality is to win. They have to win because there's a lot of pressure all the time, and they've been brilliant. And the guys in the dressing room, I think Gilb spoke about Carlton last week and how much difference he's made to them on and off the pitch, and I think all of them would say the same. So in answer to your question, I think, am I planning for the long term? Well, I think that was the question, wasn't it, before we got sidetracked?
That was what I was getting to,
So, the longest answer in the world. Am I? Yes, I have to. I'd be really naive if I didn't, but I'm really aware short term we need to achieve our goal first to enable us to do anything.
Difficult balance.
Yeah, it is, the most important thing is the next game and our process and how we go about it, and the next training session and the next video meeting, and so. But in the background, there's loads of work. Spend a lot of time planning for the summer and beyond that.
Has it been hard having so much time off? Like, because obviously games.
Yeah, you'd rather games, but also I think we've been that demanding of them physically and mentally to engage in stuff that sometimes a break's good. I think they've just come in quick succession, haven't they?
Yeah, they have.
So we've got, but what it's enabled us to do is work on a lot of stuff that we wouldn't have got time if the games had come. And so I think there's probably a lot of people up and down the country who would not welcome a break because they just wouldn't know what to do at that time, or we've had really clear idea on what we need to work on and use the time as effectively as we possibly can, and hopefully we'll see the benefit of that.
So just from a personal point of view, have you got a change room set up? Is that something that you thought about for setting up for a match? Is there a certain way you like it laid out for when the players come in?
Not really. They always have the board or the TV up with the key messages for the games that we've had through the week, like a few key points, which I asked Lano to write out because he's got neater handwriting than me.
Has he? I don't think I've ever seen him write.
So keeps him busy. But no, I want the dressing room changed in terms of the images and stuff on there, and I want us to have the key things for our identity and the way we do things written all over it, because there's certain terms we use all the time the players are really confident with and believe in, so that will change. And there just needs to be a bit more about us and something the players can really relate to. So in terms of setup and that, not really. We don't get changing now. I don't like the staff changing in with the players. That's their area. We go in and talk to them, and then it's up to them. And I go in and say good luck before kick-off.
So you don't get changed in the change room with them?
No.
Oh, interesting.
No, we get changed down the end.
But after they've gone out to warm up?
No, we get changed in the opposite referees room, innit? Yeah.
Oh, right, interesting.
Yeah. No, it's their domain. I'm really keen on that.
Oh, excellent. Well, that's really interesting. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
Will a boy be born that can swim faster than a shark?
Whose question is that?
Yeah.
Will a
Next.
boy be born?
No, well, I think we're pretty much done.
Well,
So
that
I
can
wanted
ask
to
you
say,
some
I mean,
good
something
question,
we
yeah.
don't get asked, I'm sure, very often. Is there
I bet no one's
anything
asked
you
you that.
want to say, communicate to the fans?
I'd genuinely like to thank them for the support they've given me. I'm sure a few were certainly and might still be uncertain about me being appointed with lack of experience and all that stuff. But hopefully we're starting to give them something to connect with and to enjoy and to believe in. I can see the players are starting to really believe in it. I really believe in it, otherwise we wouldn't be doing it. So I'm really hoping, and they've been amazing for the players. We're in the bottom three and they've stuck by us, and it's not been easy. We're slowly dragging ourselves, clawing ourselves out of there, and we need to keep doing that. But the support they've given us is brilliant, amazing. So really appreciative of that. And they could have made it a lot harder for me and for the players, especially with the way we're playing. I know it can be a bit. Someone pulled me last night in Milton Keynes and said, "Oh, stop playing out from the back so much. It's making us nervous." But then, to be fair, he said, "No, I'm only joking. We're really enjoying it and we're really behind you," which is amazing. I really appreciated that. So. Yeah, they've been brilliant because it's not easy. Unfortunately, you've been used to a certain style for a long time previously. I know you've said you lost the way for a few years after that, but that helps. So it really helps us being patient with it, and I feel a real connection with the supporters. I mean that. I wouldn't just say that. I really do, and I really appreciate that. And hopefully, we're here for a long time to come, and we can keep building and growing together and get this stadium fill up a little bit more.
Well, I think you've got the song. It's something good. We haven't heard do the Russell yet.
That's just you that wants to get.
I can't wait for that. So, if you could just, would you be happy to at this point?
No,
say,
he wouldn't.
Yes, Tony. We'd be delighted to
I
hear
quite
that.
like the current one. It's all right.
All right, that's got to have a dance to it as well. Isn't it?
What's that
Just
nonsense you're
naturally-
trying to get started? Some shark thing.
What, Baby Shark? I thought that was good.
It wasn't good.
Of course it was.
It
So
wasn't.
do you come up with all the chants? Do you?
Not anymore. No. Well, I did.
Not anymore.
We tried to encourage it. We had. I don't know if you know about the Don's Action.
Yeah, I
Boys.
do. Yeah.
We had them on.
We did.
Try and promote them as much as possible. We will slag them off at every opportunity when they're not singing, particularly at away games.
I think the away following's been brilliant.
Yeah, it's
especially
improved
Tuesday,
greatly,
freezing cold Tuesday night at Lincoln.
It's very difficult to get excited and vocal when you're watching a team, not your team, that looks like it's not going to win a game. And
well, those lads have the same idea as we had, because they could see that even though they're really young, some of them aren't even old enough to drive, those kids. Because we tried to get them on this, and we couldn't get them on because only one of them was old enough to drive.
Yeah.
They couldn't actually get there.
Yeah, they couldn't get to Stony Stratford. But they had the same idea as we had, because they could see, and it's all credit to someone of that age, like 17 years old. You just think, because when I was 17 years old, I just wasn't interested in anything that said, punk rock and women. That's just how it is. But they've done exactly the same as we've done, but obviously they're a lot more vocal than us.
But the thing, the fan turnover is tremendously high, and I imagine it's the same at all clubs. Ant would be home and away every week back when he was 12, and you do get that. I see fans occasionally who used to go every single game home and away. Our main man, the main singer in the cowshed and at away games, hasn't been to a game since Robbie Nielsen took over. He decided that he wasn't going to come anymore because he wasn't enjoying it and hasn't been back since. I brought him in for the Sunderland game, so hopefully he will come back. And then again, you win games, more people come to games,
Yeah, of course,
more people
yeah,
sing.
of
It's
course.
as simple as that. I don't think, from my experience, I don't think players, even with social media and so on, and most of them don't bother looking, but they don't really have any concept of what it's like to be a fan. I tried to get a few of the lads when if we had a couple of days off or so, to try and go to a game somewhere just to give them an idea of what it's like, but they weren't interested in saying. They weren't even. Players hate going to their own games, don't they? If they're not playing. There's nothing. Joe Walsh told me once he hates coming to games when he's not playing. If he's
It's difficult when it's your own team. Yeah, it's really difficult.
If you're in the squad or you're not being as different, but when you're injured, it's almost painful.
No,
to
it's
have
hard.
to sit there
It's
and
hard.
watch.
Yeah. Trust me, I had a year of it at Norwich. It's not easy at all.
No,
Not
I've
easy
said
at all.
before. Spent summers with players who just can't imagine what that's like. It must be horrible. Anyway, right then. So thanks very much, Russell.
No
talking
problem,
to
my
us.
pleasure.
Thanks, Ant,
for
for
coming.
inviting us in.
No worries. boys?
Really enjoyed that, and I think it's important, like you said earlier, and every now and again this sort of thing helps, and certainly will stop. Well, it won't stop the social media shite that we see on an endless basis. Not mentioning any Facebook groups in particular, but that Facebook group.
Fell into one last weekend.
Hopefully we'll answer some of those questions anyway, and plus we get a week off and we don't have to do this tomorrow
Well, you
night.
say that
There you
because
go.
this is.
Well, I suppose this is technically, isn't it? Yeah, but it's better than sitting in your shed.
It is,
for
I
two
must
fucking
admit.
hours.
This is much nicer than my garden shed, I must admit. It really is.
Right, so
I
that's
didn't know we could swear. I would have sworn earlier for you.
well, we
Were you
did
getting
discuss
beat?
Oh,
Is that
we've
getting
had
beat
that
out?
discussion before. We decided we would.
We weren't gonna.
It's normally very, very sweary this, but
Yeah.
Is
we
it?
decided to.
Ah,
And we'll
bollocks
do
to
that
it then.
next week.
It's been good.
Ant said every Tuesday. To the end of the season,
We're on our best
Yeah.
behaviour.
We'll talk again at the end of the season.
We'll do
Yeah,
a,
we'll talk again.
We'll do a what's that?
If I'm
word?
still here, we'll talk. If I haven't
Yeah.
been sacked by then, we'll talk at the end of the season.
Right, we're done.
We'll do an irreverent one at some point.
We're done now.
Lovely.
We're done now.
Right.
We're done
Well,
now.
thanks for that, and we will see you next week. But we'll just be me and you next week,
Yes, indeed.
unless anyone wants to come on. Come on.
Come down to Stoney in the shed.